In this video, we're going to talk about Shuffleboard, which is, I guess you could say, a counterpart to Smart Dashboard, but it's a little bit different in that it allows us to view our data in a more aesthetically pleasing manner. So one of the primary use cases for Shuffleboard is that it's a lot more visual and easier to read, especially when it comes to, printing out things like booleans and true or false conditions, etc. And so we prefer to use it for the drive team, especially when it comes to things, when it comes to understanding, maybe where we want to score or what's in the robot, etc. So stuff like that. So what I want to do today is show you how to use Shuffleboard to display a green Boolean box that allows you to determine whether or not your intake is running. So in order to start, what we need to do is first create a Boolean that determines whether or not the intake is running. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a Boolean. We'll call it is intake running, and we'll initialize it to false for now. And then we can say is if the intake motor dot get its voltage, so it's motor output voltage. If that's greater than something like 0.1, we'll say it's a small value. Then is intake running? Let me set to true. Now, we can do it this way, but I want to show you guys another way of doing it that's a little bit more robust in that I only want to set is intake running true when I run the run intake command. So, in order to do that, we can make a helper method real quick. So public void set is intake running. So basically an accessor or a mutator method for your intake running boolean, and then boolean, we'll call it value, I guess. And then is intake running equals the value that we pass in. So now what we can do is in run intake command, in execute, we can do intake subsystem dot set is intake running. We can set that to true. And then in the end condition, when the command actually ends, that set is intake running, we'll set that to false because the command is over, intake is no longer running. So now we can change this and say if, or actually, now we don't need to really worry about this Boolean at all, actually, because there's no need for any if statements, that periodic, none of things like that. Because it's only being updated in the command, which is really all that we care about, right? We only want to care about the intake when the command is actually running. So effectively, all this is just an indicator of whether or not the intake is running, which in reality is just an indicator of whether or not the run intake command is running. So in order to create your visualization in Shuffleboard, the first thing we need to do is create a tab in Shuffleboard. So if you open up Shuffleboard, you notice the default tabs are Smart Dashboard and Live Window. And none of these are Shuffleboard tabs that you created. These are just default ones. Like you can view Smart Dashboard inside Shuffleboard and it'll display it in this Shuffleboard layout. So that's one of the things you could do if you want. I would just recommend using normal Smart Dashboard like we have in the past. But there's that. So what we need to do first is make a tab that we can access and publish our data to. So we'll make this a public tab, and it's going to be of type Shuffleboard tab. It's probably going to ask me to import it. Oop, never mind. It already did. Shuffleboard tab, and we'll call it driver dashboard because that's typically what we associate Shuffleboard with. And it's going to be equal to Shuffleboard. Shuffleboard.get tab, and the name of the tab that we want to pass in, which in this case I'll call it driver dashboard. And there we go. Now the next thing that we need to do is create our specific, I guess you would call it tiles to add into our tab. So in this case, and this is effectively like a Boolean box, if you will. So what we do is create something called a generic entry. In this case, we're going to call it, intake running, call it intake running Boolean, why not? And there are a few things that we'll need to pass in. First, I need to import this. Come on. Okay, so is intake running or intake running boolean, and we're gonna add this to the driver dashboard. So driver dashboard.add, and it's asking for something called a sendable, which all it really takes in is the thing you want to call it. So we'll say intake running, and then an initialized value. So because it's a boolean, it's going to be false. And the next thing that we need to specify is the size. So ignore the semicolon. So the size, let's say for now, is going to be 1, 1. So 1 width, hide, 1 height. And then you can specify the location. So the position, the coordinate system starts up here at 0, 0. So let's set this to 0, 0. So dot with position. So it's going to be, it's column row, not row column. I know, see it for those of you those of you who work with 2D arrays, a little counterintuitive, but that's fine. Now we can specify its properties. So the properties is going to be a map. So we can do map.of. And now we can pass in 4 values. So our color when false, and be sure to copy the exact syntax and capitalization that I'm doing here. That's important. So the color when false is going to be black, which is 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Let's make sure that 6 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think. Nope, I have one too many. So color when false is going to be completely black, and then our color when true is going to be a bright green. So I already have the value for that. It's 17FC03. So that's our map. Let's see. Are we getting there? I'm going to avoid this for now and call dot get. Missing one. Okay. Just want to make sure that this isn't freaking out. Okay. And I need to call one more thing. It's dot get entry. So something seems to be off with. This should have another one. Let's see if this works. This is freaking out. Let's see what's going on. Mismatch, huh? That's a little weird. Let's see if we can fix this. So mid, false. Okay, let's just get rid of this for now. Let's see if that fixes it. Oh, okay, that's why. I think something might have accidentally deleted here. It should be, this should be a dot with properties over here. And then that should go away. With position, oh, this duplicated itself. That's why. There we go. With properties, and then we can call get entry. And there we go. Now we're happy. Okay, so just to recap, we have an entry, which is essentially, for now, we're treating it as a Boolean. And we're adding it to the driver dashboard. We're calling it intake running. The default value is going to be false. Its size is 1 width and 1 height, or 1 wide, 1 across, or 1 wide and 1 tall. Its position is 0, 0, which is at the very top left, and it has the properties that we specified. So in this case, the color when it's false, the color when it's true, and then we call .getEntry to specify the generic entry. So that's that. Now, all we need to do now is update it. So the best place to update it is in the periodic of your subsystem. So all you're going to do is intake running boolean .update, or sorry, set boolean, excuse me, is intake running. So now, this boolean box right here, or this generic entry, is going to change its color depending on the value of is intake running. And is intake running, its value changes inside the run intake command. So every time it's run, it's set to true, and then when the command ends, it's set to false. So you can go ahead and simulate this, or even test it out. I'm going to simulate it real quick right now. Close out Shuffleboard because it's going to reopen when I open the driver station. Just going to go ahead and build code real quick. Give that a second. Okay, I want to use a real driver station. Go ahead and simulate that. Okay, we're good. I'm gonna open driver station. Yep. Okay, now Shuffleboard will open along with it. Just take me a second. Oop, okay, I've got a fresh copy of driver station here for some reason. I gotta specify my team number real quick. That's a little weird. I'm not sure why it didn't update. That's weird. Okay, I wonder if I can just open Shuffleboard instead of driver station. That should work fine too. Let's see. Okay, there we go. And you can see we have our driver dashboard, a new tab right here, and the intake running boolean. So you can go ahead and enable, give this a try, and watch it change its colors. And yeah, so that about wraps up our small tutorial here on Shuffleboard. Go ahead and experiment, give it a try different sizes, different positions, etc. And yeah, we'll catch you in our next video.